Daf Yomi, Tractate Sanhedrin, 48a, Part 2, with the words Hu Hadin. Daf Gav Lo Hetil Apokim Midrabanan. Midraban Shimon Ben Gamliel Damar. Ein Linafalim Tefisas HaKever. Kamashmon. The Gemara rejects this inference. The same is true, even if a non-viable newborn was not cast into the grave. One is still prohibited from drawing benefit from the grave merely by virtue of the designation. Why then does the Braita say that a non-viable newborn was cast into the grave? This serves to exclude the opinion of Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, who says a non-viable newborn does not take possession of its grave to render it forbidden even once it is buried there. To counter this opinion, the Braita teaches us that this opinion is not accepted and a non-viable newborn is treated like any other corpse. Tashema Moiser Amesim Lemesim Moiser Amez Liyorshev Hecham Maskilim should go behind. The Gemara suggests coming here another proof in support for Rabba's opinion from Mishnah Shekalim, chapter 2 verse 5, chapter 2 Mishnah 5, that the money left over from the money that was collected from burying the dead must be allocated to the burial of other dead people. The money left over from the money that was collected for burying a particular dead person is given to his heirs. Evidently, money that had been designated for the sake of a dead person but was not actually used for burying him does not become forbidden, and his heirs may use it. Gemara rejects this proof. With what are we dealing here? We are dealing with money that had been collected for the deceased during his lifetime. It was thought that a certain individual was soon to die, and money was collected to cover the costs of his burial. Since at the same time the money was collected, the person was alive, and the person had not been designated for the sake of a dead person. Therefore, one is permitted to derive benefit from it, and it is given to the heirs of the deceased. Ha loitani hachi letnan moiser mesim lemesim ba'ofis mes liyorshev tani ale kevan gavru mesim stab zehu moiser mesim gavru mes zehu moser ames liyorshev. The Gemara raised an objection, but were we not taught this, as we learned in the Mishnah? The money left over from the money that was collected for burying the dead must be allocated to the burial of other dead people. The money left over from the money that was collected for burying a particular dead person is given to his heirs, and that is taught with regard to this Mishnah that in a Braita. How? So, if they collected money for the purpose of burying the dead without specification, this is the case about which they said that the money left over from the money that is collected for burying the dead must be allocated to the burial of other dead people. But if they collected money for the sake of this particular dead person, this is the case about which they said that the money left over from the money that was collected for burying a particular dead person is given to his heirs. This indicates that the Mishnah is discussing a case where the money was designated for one who had already died. Okay. As according to your reasoning, Ema Seifim. Say the latter clause of that same Mishnah, which appears to support the opinion of Abayat. Rabbi Meir says, if money was left over from it, the sum collected for the burial of a particular dead person. The money may not be touched until Elijah comes and resolves the uncertainty as to whether or not the money is forbidden. Rabbi Natan says the leftover money shall be used for the laying of another row of stones over the grave of the deceased, for the sprinkling of the fragrant wine before his bier, and as he is brought for burial. This indicates that there are certain Tanaim who maintain that mere designation is in fact significant. Okay. Ela Rabaya Betaras Tamim, the Betaras Tamim. Abaya Betaras Tamim, the Kuliyama Hasbana Milsahi Tanakama Savar, the Chazi Lev, the face, Lo Chazi Le, Lo Tefas, the face. Rather, Abaya can explain the entire mission according to his line of reasoning, and Rava too can explain the entire mission according to his line of reasoning. The Gemara explains Abaya and Rava. The Gemara explains Abaya can explain the entire mission according to his line of reasoning as follows: according to everyone, meaning the first Tana, Meir, Rabbi Natan, where designation is a significant matter, the Mishnah, the first Tana holds that the sum that it is fitting to spend for the burial of the particular dead person is encompassed by the prohibition, and the sum that it is not fitting to spend is not encompassed by the prohibition. Therefore, whatever money is not required for his burial is given to his heirs, and it was never included in the prohibition. Rabbi Meir Besabgale Itafis Ilo Tafis Hilkach Lo Yagia Mehen Ad Shiavo Eliyahu. Rabbi Pshita Meshicha Rav Nasan Pshita Le Devade Tafis Hilkach Yased Dimos Al Kivro. The Rabbi Meir is uncertain as to whether the sum that is not fitting to spend for his personal is encompassed by the prohibition is not encompassed by the children. Therefore, the leftover money may not be touched until Elijah comes and clarifies the matter. And it is obvious to Rabbi Natan that all of the money collected in certainty is certainly encompassed by the prohibition, including money that it is not fitting to spend for their deceased burial. Therefore, whatever money is left over should be used for the laying of another row of stones over the grave of the deceased, for the sprinkling of fragrant wine before his bier. The Rav Mitartatame, the Chul Yamlet husband, Lab Milsehi, Tana Kama Savar, Ki Bazule Acholit Mechilin, Zilu Se, Gabi Yorshin. Brother 2. One can explain the mission according to his line of reasoning as follows: according to everyone, the first Tana, Rabbi and Rava. 2 can explain the mission according to his line of reasoning as follows: according to everyone, meaning the Tana, Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Nasan, mere designation is nothing, and so the money collected for the burial of a particular dead person does not become forbidden. And the disagreement about an entirely different manner. The first Tana holds that even though heirs of the deceased disgraced him by collecting money for his burial, and the deceased still forgoes the disgrace for the benefit of the heirs, and therefore leftover money is given to him. Okay. The Rabbi Meir misapka le imachil ilo machil hilkach lo yagia bahen kule. Rabbi Nassim Pshita le de lo machil hilkach yasid imos al kivre izel of lifting mitzvah. Rabbi Meir is uncertain as to whether the deceased forgoes his disgrace or whether he's not forgotten. Therefore, the leftover money may not be touched until Elijah comes and clarifies the issue. And it is obvious that Rabbi Natan and the deceased does not forgo his disgrace. Therefore, whatever money is left over should be used for the laying of another row of stones over the grave of the deceased for the sprinkling of fragrant wine before his master. Dashma, come in here. A proof from a Braise. How you aviv imam zarkin va'kelim mitzvah al acharim hatzilah. The Gemara suggests, coming here, another proof in support of Rabbi's opinion from a Braita. If the father and the mother of the deceased were throwing garments onto their late son's bier so that they would be buried along with him, it is a mitzvah for the others present to save those garments from being lost. This indicates that more designation is insufficient, as were it sufficient, were it significant, the one would be approached to derive benefit from the garments as soon as the parents cast them into their bier. Yeah, that's part 2.